Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 203rd edition of Cinema Effect. My name's Jayden. I'll be hosting today, relieving Zach of his duties. I am joined by Sir Kaz, Mr. Brown, aka Elite Yoda 619, Zach.
Hey Jayden, how are you? I knew I was bracing on that.
Yeah, I was thinking of like Mr. Brown or something more vulgar, but I was like, no, we'll keep it Mr. Brown in the intro.
Did you want to host just for that, or is it the movie as well?
Yeah,
Is that like the main
pretty
reason?
much just so I could get that in. I couldn't give two shit about hosting otherwise. And I'm also joined by as always, Cinema Effect's most famous Letterboxd user, our resident Irish citizen, Liam.
Hello, Jayden.
Howdy.
I'm sorry, I had my whole response prepped about how I was going to ask you, is anyone here ever pissed in a pool? And because I had it already. But
yeah, shame.
Yeah, I got
Mr. Brown fold again.
Thanks, bro. Anyway, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah.
I just had to have some kind of counter.
This is Cinema Effect, the show where we review a different movie every single Monday. This week we are reviewing Mad Max Fury Road. The film came out in 2015, directed by George Miller, stars Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. I don't have a synopsis up, but it's essentially a 2-hour car chase, and that's what you need to know through the desert. In a post-apocalyptic world. Miller's been working with this character for years, and I was reading this comic last night, just as a bit of a refreshing, as well. It's a prelude, and I was surprised to find out just how long he's been working on it. Can you guess how long he's been working on it?
On the whole franchise?
On Fury Road alone.
Oh, on Fury Road. Oh,
yeah.
I would have. Yikes. 20 years.
Okay, yeah, you're not far off it. Yeah.
The
artist says that he went in to do storyboards for it back in he started in 2000 doing storyboards, and then it just got left on the shelf for a bit. Not on the shelf, but as it went through development and through all the other insane shit that he had to do. They didn't get to shooting until 2012. So yeah, I thought that was.
I did cheat because I read in the trivia that Mel was still
considered
originally
as Max.
still meant to be Max. Yeah.
Yeah, shame about that. Anyway, first impressions. Zachary, as the guest, you can.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. That's exciting. Okay.
How many times have you watched the film?
I've seen it twice now. I think you guys will be most curious if my mind was changed or not watching it this time, because I notoriously didn't really care for it, and I'm happy to reveal that my mind was not really changed watching this movie again. I don't know. I'm glad you started with me, because there's undeniably some things to marvel at as a film nerd, and that's really cool, and we'll do that. I appreciate George's vision and the lengths gone to bring it to screen so fully. They shoot these movies so far in advance, like when you just said 2012, it came out in 2015. Same with Furiosa, that film was shot I think 2 or 3 years ago as well. So there's a lot of work that I appreciate, but I don't know. I'm still kind of only half there watching this movie. There's just enough. There just isn't enough substance for it to fully work for me, unfortunately. It's a fantastic looking film, but it's a pretty shallow film, and not in terms of I'm not after grand ideas or themes or whatever, but just in basic story and character. It's just not a lot on the meat on the bone, so to speak, for me. So yes.
Interesting. Leo?
Yeah, this is my third time. I watched it in the cinemas, and then at that film club thing I went to in a kind of auditorium. And I liked it more. I liked it a lot more the second time, because I remember just being kind of a bit kind of indifferent to it, but liking it when I first saw it. And I kind of thought I'd be even more enthusiastic watching it this third time, because just that opening scene alone kind of reminded me of the kind of the visual palette of this film, the kind of deep colors and just how kind of striking it is. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've kind of reverted back to my like initial opinion of it because like I was less interested in it as the movie went on. But like there are some sequences, especially in the first half, which I think are awesome. And I think the music is like a big plus to the excitement. And yeah, I think it's exciting in parts, but not it doesn't engage me throughout the whole thing. So yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's really having a big gangbang Zach here.
Sorry, Jayden.
Right. Okay. I've seen this film countless times, like genuinely countless, because I had this on my laptop back in high school, and just whenever I could, I think I just watched it. But in terms of proper viewing, like on the big screen, or with intent, probably 4 or 5. I think this film is fantastic. I think it's an author working at his absolute fullest extent and to the best of his abilities, and I think it all functions incredibly well. I think the amalgamation of kind of past Mad Max lore and new lore functions brilliantly as well. Which it be kind of, I think the translation to screen was one that was obviously difficult since it took so long, but I think it's manifested incredibly well. Yeah. Where do you want to start? I think let's start with the music. It's probably not the best place to start, but I think Liam mentioned it as well, and I think this time watching around, this is probably the most I've realized as well. But tell me this isn't the best shit you've heard Junkie XL make.
Well, it sounded like Junkie XL. So
I disagree with that as well, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't think it sounded like his stuff. I think it definitely came through at points, but I think this sounded a bit more non-typical. But like,
okay,
just some of his more sweeping stuff was incredibly strong, man.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely wrote it down. I enjoyed the music in this movie a lot. I thought it was really cool, particularly. I mean, in that final, for me, it was probably more in the third act. I don't know if you disagree with that, but for me, like in that final sort of section, when they get close to when they eventually kill Joe, it's like the use of the drums there, and then when it sounds like the electric guitar. I assume it's like meant to be similar instruments to what the band's actually playing on the truck. That's what it sounded like.
I couldn't quite tell when it was meant to be diegetic and not, because it seemed. Because it quite often seemed to not entirely sync up, but then sometimes, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was more meant like a loose sort of vibe connection because, if I'm looking at the drums closely, they're not actually matching the score often. But like it is that sound, I assume. So yeah, but no, those drums go hard in the third act for sure. The guitar goes hard. And to be honest, like, again, there's so much awesome stuff going on visually in that whole action scene. But because to me it does sort of start to blend together, like just watching it all, like the music is what really sort of energized me in the third act. It sort of got me through it. I did really like it. Were there other sections of it that like really stand out to you?
Yeah, I think the more intimate moments were kind of getting to me this time. Some of the dialogue between the wives or Max and Furiosa, some of the stuff there. Or even like when she like obviously getting to the the green place, I think the way it swells there is quite nice.
Cool.
Well, that like that main theme, I guess, like the theme that plays when they kind of when they team up for the first time, and it's kind of like the main thing, that song you think of when you think of this film. I was probably like in the trailer, like the that thing. I think that's like pretty iconic at this point, and it's kind of like reused a few times in different ways throughout the film after it's first introduced. So I think it just like gives a kind of momentum to the film that's very easy to buy into, especially because like some of the action scenes are kind of sped up in little moments, and the story kind of needs to reach the same pace as the as the characters. So yeah.
You Wonder Woman's theme in BVS. I was well aware that it's for that film, but like I just kept on waiting for it to hit in this film because I just feel like it's so appropriate for this film,
Well, whenever Furiosa shows up, it's just
Yeah.
the woman thing. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that was a butchering of it, but yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was thinking about that. I was like, how much of that film is Hans and how much of that film is Tom? So I was like, I reckon Tom probably put that one out.
Did they do that film together, BVS?
Yeah.
They did. Okay.
So I reckon Wonder Woman's all Tom and just fucking excess from Fury Road.
I think Zimmer, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he played the Wonder Woman theme when we saw him in concert, right?
He may have. Yes, I can't.
I feel like he can't get away with that if it's Tom's.
They collaborated.
Right. Okay. Yeah. He added like some vague instrument in the background to it.
Yeah.
Can I quickly ask you, just for
Yeah.
background, because I don't know anything about this franchise, and I'm starting to think like maybe we should actually go back and do the other ones. But you've seen them all, right?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Oh, really? Okay, right.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask: is this? You might not know the answer then. Like, is this a reboot? Is this meant to be in the same continuity? Because I feel like the start is sort of, to me, it felt like they were sort of re-introing Max as if like he is sort of a new iteration of the character.
Yeah, it was meant to be a reboot, but then it kind of took on some sequel tones in some things, and it just borrowed stuff from a lot of other films as well, is what I was reading. So like it kind of got muddled as to what it actually is, but it is very much a reboot. But then there are a lot of things that you can kind of say, oh, that's from that film, or that's from that film, that carry over. But that was not the intent. I think that's just something that changed with time, and George picked up some old themes as he kept on developing it. But yeah, it is meant to be a reboot.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because it is a very different world. Like actually, to be fair, I haven't seen the other two, so I can't really talk to it. But compared to what we see in Mad Max 1, like the original one, to this world, it is entirely different. And I'm not sure if the evolution in the original 3 is the same. I don't know if we go straight to desert in Road Warrior or whatever. But yeah, like it is an entirely different world. And I think part of that is also because they filmed this not in Australia, which was unfortunate, I think. But
is that true?
Well, they filmed like the studio stuff in Australia, but like all the desert stuff is in Namibia. Hold on, one of those end countries in Africa.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but because they used to film it up in Broken Hill or something like that, but then it grew too lush apparently, so they had to move production to
interesting.
A desert in Africa. And I think you can really feel it. It doesn't feel like Australia when they're in desert,
Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
So I think that is something that annoyed me this time around, because it's something I actually looked at and I was like, oh, that's not here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I agree. I was going to ask if it looked like Australia to you, just because I assumed it was shot here. Because I think Furiosa. Now I'm questioning myself. I thought Furiosa was shot here.
Yeah, I think Furiosa they shot, if not all, then 90% of it here.
Yeah.
I guess it just shows a new location, but it's just that when they were going to shoot, they couldn't use the location that they were intending because it was too lush.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll be curious how it looks in Furiosa. Yeah, because I thought, watching it here, I thought it was in Australia, and I'm like, wow, this doesn't look like Australia at all. But yeah, I actually think it's cooler, to be honest. I like all the desert and the way it looks in this film. Like it doesn't really look like I'm on an Earth I recognize.
Yeah, because you're in Africa.
Right. Yeah, I can't say I've been in Africa.
Yeah. How do you feel about the land and this place in general?
Well, I guess it ties into what I was saying about the landscapes. Like I think, I always remember this film being very orange and blue, and I thought it would kind of be like, I used to think of it as kind of boring or whatever, but I think I started to see the texture in it, especially in that first shot. You see like the whole range of like the whole spectrum of orange, if you will. And I think it's interesting enough, especially like the verticality of some of the desert, and the what's the home base called?
The Citadel.
The Citadel as well. So yeah, it's distinct enough to kind of feel like it's from a different world, as Zach put it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, I don't really want it to feel like a different world. I want it to feel like because this is still fairly fresh apocalypse. This is only like 30, 40 years out. Not even that, probably even.
Well, I was going to ask for that because Max says he was a cop. And
Yeah, and that's the hard thing. So, like, because in that prequel story, you find out that Immortan Joe and like all the Bullet Farmer and all that guy, like they were also like violent. Like you figure out that they existed in the post World War as like some I can't recall exactly what they were, but like as army men or whatever. Let's say. So if they existed there, and they're considerably older than Max, it's like, well, how much later does this story take place?
Yeah.
And if Max can also have been
old enough to be a cop.
Yeah. So like, unless he was like 20, fresh cop.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's about 20 years. Well, I personally feel like it's more 30, 40, but it's probably about 20-ish years post-apocalyptic if you feel that way.
That's the part of it that does feel a bit fantasy-like, because it's like, it wasn't an issue for me watching it, but it was very much like, it didn't feel like a natural degradation of society. It felt like this is like hundreds of years or something. But that's that's fine.
Well, apparently that's what that happens in the originals as well, because like you watch number 1 and it's just barely starting of the apocalypse, where like it is still very much normal. It looks like Little River.
Oh, cool! That makes me curious to watch that. Yeah.
But then apparently by the second one, it is just full on desert apocalypse, crazy batshit kind of thing, which is probably a fun thing, I guess. But yeah, yeah. You I don't know, like, are you interested in at all the kind of world building that occurs? Because I don't think there's a whole lot of it, and it seems like you talk about a lack of substance, but like I don't think there is a need for more substance in that area, at least, or in my opinion, in most areas. But like, is that one of your areas that you have issue with in terms of not enough meat?
I think it certainly wouldn't have harmed it. It's not. I didn't necessarily need more. I know. So you got like, it serves the simplicity of the plot. You got like Gastown, and in terms of like the spiritual, like the cultish aspect to it, they worship the. You've got all the war boys, and they worship the V8 and Valhalla.
So
like there's enough interesting things going on there, sort of in the background of like, the character beliefs in their culture and where they're at. That's sort of enough for me. I don't really need, other than what we got in that very quick intro of like, oh yeah, there was a war, the apocalypse. We get it, we've seen apocalypse stuff before. So no, it wasn't that as much, I guess. But I don't know. For me, this film just has so much visual personality and eccentric stuff to look at that I don't personally feel like the dialogue or performances or characters reach that at all. It's just, that's sort of more, I guess, what I mean. There's moments here and there, but they're like little sprinkles. Overall, I just wanted more silly, over the top stuff from a character perspective to sort of match the visuals. I feel like Immortan Joe, is that his name? Is Immortan meant to be his first name, or is that a title or something? What is that?
It's a title he was given because if you read the comics, like here, you find out that like he kind of had this like whole rebirth after 3 days of thinking that he was dead, because he pretty much solo takes on the Citadel, and he captures it.
Right. Okay.
And so that's and he built like this massive following of war boys. It's
Does the comic? It sounds like the comic has 10 times more story than the movie.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
He doesn't need it,
I don't know, like, but he's kind of the perfect example, and I could apply this to all the characters. Where like, well, especially him, obviously, where he looks awesome. His design is really cool, and the way they intro him, and he's got the different components and the breathing, like all that's really cool. But then, just nothing about him as a character, nothing about the performance is interesting to me at all. Like, it's just, he's such a blank slate, whatever. And like, even his voice is just like, get him, yes, go. Like, I could do it. You know what I mean? Like, there was nothing overly interesting or entertaining about it to me, unfortunately.
Okay. Well,
is that
where your difference is emerging from as well? Sorry.
I think Immortan Joe is one of the lesser examples of it. But the war boys all being kind of the same is probably a culprit of what Zach's talking about, I guess.
True.
I mean, You don't really need to know the War Boys much more because they're a cult following. They don't need to be identified. If that's what you're suggesting.
But like even the characters that we do meet aren't that interesting. Like the kind of the harem of wives aren't that fun, and I hate the old lady that they meet. That's just me personally, and I just find that scenes with her kind of cringe. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know what you can do, but I don't think the characters are too interesting.
The comic expands on the harem wives as well, so.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Okay, what were you expecting from them in this film? Like, what were you expecting? Like, were you expecting more, or was it just that you weren't given like what?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I personally want more interesting character dynamics and more fun, like eccentric performances. Like, I feel like when you mentioned the wives, Fitzy, I agree. I feel like they could have been more fun. I could have been more like, oh, they were really oppressed, and then it's like, oh, now they're badass, and they're doing really cool shit. They were, I don't know, they were fine. They just felt like they're not. Everything's just not quite at the level it should be. Where it's just like, okay, yeah, they were cool. They could have been cooler.
Yeah.
Everything could have been a bit cooler. Like when you have, I don't know, in terms of the way the relationships develop as well. Like the whole, I can go on a thing about Max, to be honest, but the fact that I feel like I'm supposed to feel that him and Furiosa have this like cool bond develop throughout the movie or something. Like at the end when they come together, and I feel like I'm meant to think it's cool, but it's just kind of lame to me. Like the most poignant development that they have as a relationship in the movie. Oh, I'm sorry, Jayden, I can't wait to hear you respond. The most poignant moment they have in the movie to develop their relationship is when at the end Max finally like says, "My name's Max. That's my name." And it's like, I know, like, because the movie's called Mad Max, dude. You know what I mean? It's like it's not interesting to the audience at all, and it just I don't know, fell flat.
I mean, the reveal's not meant to be interesting. It's like the breaking down of the character to reveal, to get to the reveal is meant to be interesting.
Well, that's the other thing. That was another aspect of the character. That's sort of what I was like. They tease this whole thing with his, he's traumatized by his past. He had a daughter, I presume, right? And it's like, all right, that went nowhere. You know what I mean? I feel like I learned nothing more about that than I got in the first minute of the movie.
Yeah, but why would you need to?
Because it would be interesting. It would make compelling screen story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not important to this story.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but then this story was boring.
It's a bare bones story, and that's well intentional, and George recognizes that obviously as well. He says as much. It's a simple story.
Oh,
but you're not meant to derive, your enjoyment of the film from the story itself. It's meant to be everything else,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. It wasn't enough, Chad. It wasn't enough. Is there a character performance that you really latch onto?
Me personally, that latch onto one,
or any, a few, whatever.
Probably Nicholas Hoult's a Nux, I think is
sure.
Dude, because I just think I get chills still, when he says, "What a lovely day," and he's like, "I want to die, glorious on the Fury Road," and he fucking chromes out. Oh, dude, that's so hard.
He honestly had the most development in the movie. Yeah.
We go to school and just with mates and just fucking parodying that scene and just pretending that you're fucking spraying, you fucking witness me. It's so fun. It's so awesome.
He was the closest to what I wanted. I sort of wanted everyone to match him. Not in terms of literally be the same character, but that level of energy and madness kind of thing. Because I totally agree. Like I really loved how much he committed to it.
Yeah, but they're all coming from a different world. He's a fanatic in a cult, and Max is a lone survivor hardened by many deaths that he feels responsible for.
Sure, but you can do that in a way that's not boring.
It's not boring. He's fucking sick.
So you like Max in the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I love his jerkiness and his erraticness, and his little and his little it's like I love like his kind of feralness and like his kind of
Yeah.
yeah, I really like Max in this film, and like like I get the complaints about the wives, but like they're not. I mean, they're not really meant to be anything more. They are, you're kind of a what do you call it? MacGuffin, mystery box, maybe. I don't know. They're just meant to be your thing. That kind of. I mean, that sounds terrible considering like the feminist kind of thing. But yeah, they're just meant to be your thing that drives the plot.
Yeah.
So like they don't need to be anything more than what they are. They give them a bit of personality each, but like the reason that they're liked how they are is because they have been sheltered away in that vault, deprived of the world. That's why when Furiosa says, everything out there will hurt you. They don't know that because they truly have been in that vault, protected.
Yeah.
They've been fed pure water, pure air, all so they can give Immortan Joe an actual son that's not a freak, I mean, freak's, sorry, a bad word, but, like a normal, Joe wants a normal son that can be his heir, unlike Rictus, because he's dumb as, but he's, obviously a perfect specimen. And then like, all his other sons, they're all disappointments. So that's why they've been locked away, and that's why they don't know the world, and that's why they seem to have this kind of, that's why they can't interact and be badasses, because they haven't been existing in this world,
Yeah. No, it all makes sense. Yeah. I appreciate.
But they are a little bit badass in like specific moments.
Yeah.
Because Zoe Kramer's is talking about the bullets, and then there's that blonde one that kind of snaps back at him. Like he calls him, what was it? Like he ate
Schlanger,
yeah. But like, it's just the fact that you're surrounded by kind of that. I guess the prime example of the eccentric character in the bunch is Nicholas Hoult, but like the characters that you're presented with don't match the environment precisely. I guess
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah. Even like Furiosa as well is like.
Yeah, just whatever.
Look, I'm gonna be like for me, I'm excited to see. I do really want to see this movie coming up, but it's like watching this movie, like because I think the trailer for Furiosa looks really cool, but this movie, like I was hoping I'd come in and go like, oh, now I'm like even more excited because I pick apart the character and I really like the character in this movie. Like this did nothing to help me want to see Furiosa at all.
I don't disagree with that. I think when it was announced that Furiosa was happening, as of any Mad Max project that could happen, when I found it was Furiosa, I was quite disappointed because like a character I didn't really care for too much in this film. I think this time around I probably was stronger feeling for her. I think I probably paid a bit more attention to her. But yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. About Furiosa being kind of boring in this film.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm like, I think there's enough there.
There is. They tease a few different things with her. I feel like she's the main character of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just like Max sort of just feels like he's there, and doesn't really do much. Actually, if you think about it, he doesn't say much. He doesn't do much, but yeah, they do tease a few different things with Furiosa. I was taking note of. Like, I don't know, is she going to lose her arm in this movie that we're going to see? That kind of thing. Probably, I'd assume. Yeah, she's looking. So she was taken as a child. We might see that in like some sort of flashback or something. But
probably, maybe.
I'm trying to like piece together little bits from what was there. She wants redemption.
There is a little background in this comic, but it's very recent to the film, as in like it's a few weeks prior and then leading into the film. So I assume the film goes way further back than that. Well, it would have to. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Just while we're talking about Furiosa, like Hemsworth in the trailer, like seems like, and I'm hoping is exactly what I'm looking for, and what was missing for me in this movie, where he's just totally over the top, hilarious, like mad on a character level that matches the visuals. Because I think in the trailer, that little glimpse, he seems super entertaining, and I hope that delivers on that.
I think he plays into like the Australian accent more in the trailer as well than like Immortan Joe did in this film. And like there were a few characters who had that kind of who were just like Australian, but I was kind of wishing for just to find that a bit more as well throughout.
There were little bits and bobs.
Yeah,
because like of the wires, I think 2 of them were actually Australian, but the rest of them, they don't really put an effort into be Australian.
Yeah, Riley Keough and Zoe Kravitz didn't really.
No, neither did Rosie.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I necessarily needed them to. Like, I don't need people.
It's an Australian production, though. That's the thing. How often do you get an Australian thing on this scale that reaches this wide, and then only for it to really not have an Australian voice?
So this film is meant to be like, I know it's a wasteland, it's unnamed, all that kind of thing, but like I presume it is still meant to be Australia, right?
Yes, it is Australia. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not meant to be. It is Australia.
It is. Is that like in the comic explicit? Because it's never explicit.
Yeah.
They're Australian dudes around, so I assume it is.
Yeah. Like in the comics, you see Sydney Opera House burning.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
And like obviously, just with the history of the franchise, like it's all just Australian.
Yeah. I liked when one of the characters said, I think it was just one of the war boys where it's like, fang it. And I've like never heard that in a movie, but it was like, if you're gonna have an Australian guy say that in any movie, it's this one. So like, I like that.
But something that pissed me off as well with the Australian thing is that Nicholas Hoult called his like, what did he have on his shoulders? Like some kind of infection tumor. Yeah. He called it Larry and Barry. And I was thinking, like, if you're Australian, you're calling that Laz and Baz, There's no Barry in Australia.
I can't disagree with that. Yeah, that's funny. He wasn't doing an Aussie accent either, right? He was just...
No, I don't...
I feel like he was just doing his normal... Yeah.
No. I think, because even, like, some of the Australian actors in the film, like, they lose their accent. And I think it's in that voice that they were trying to put on. Like, the guy that plays, Slit, was that his buddy? That was Lansing, like the wall boy with the scars on him. I'm pretty sure he's an Australian actor, but then you don't really hear that accent coming across. I think it's just because you lose it in the voice that they're putting on.
Right. I felt that way about like what you already mentioned earlier about Joe. I felt because I think he's Aussie too, but
yeah, he's super Aussie.
Yeah, but I couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
Well, how do we feel about Tom Hardy's accent though?
I don't mind it because it's Tom Hardy and he's always doing a little bit something a little bit weird, a little bit different. Because I think you ask him to do an accent or a voice anywhere, I think he comes off not quite what you'd expect.
Yeah,
like all right. Even think of think of the same year. You think of his character from The Revenant. He's even a bit like
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you mean. I thought his accent really annoyed me in this, to be honest. It felt like... Did you guys feel this at all? I felt like his opening narration, he was doing a different accent to the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I was even wondering if that was actually him. And then I went down this... I went through this whole, like, rabbit hole, like, is it like there's multiple versions of Max, and this is, like, a representation of Max as a whole? Like, the voice is, like, different... Anyway, it was just a thought that I had because the voice was so different, but then you could kind of recognize him in like bits. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the opening was Tom Hardy, but the opening was Tom Hardy like actually trying to do an Australian accent. And I thought that was decent, but then like the rest of the movie, I feel like he sounded more like Locke or something. Like he sounded more like a gruff sort of British guy. Like even like a little bit of like not in like the actual like tone of the voice, but like even a bit more vainish in sort of the gruntness of it than we got in the opening,
Yeah, but I can explain that away as Tom Hardyism, so I don't really care about that as much.
Sure. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's definitely Tom Hardy. Did you like? Was he a good Max? I mean, we were talking about Max the character, but like, did you appreciate what he? I mean,
comparing him to him and Mel Gibson,
I guess, but or like anyone else you could hire, kind of thing. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Tom Hardy's great. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you should try. Like, I guess try and pick an Australian that you could have taken. I mean, Chris Hemsworth was wrapped up in Thor, so couldn't really yank him out of there.
Yeah.
He probably would have been an alright Max, though, to be honest. Maybe a bit too big.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't have minded it. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
But no, I don't think Tom Hardy's a bad choice at all.
No, but is there a better Australian choice?
Yeah. I mean, Mel Gibson's like pseudo-Australian anyway, so it's not like.
Oh,
It's
no,
not
he's
like-
Australian. I mean, he was here
Is he?
since he was like 12 or 13.
Right, yeah. But then he left again, so it's like,
Oh, yeah, but we take him, we acknowledge him as Australian.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't really know what Max is supposed to be, I guess, to the question of, like, is he a good Max? Because I haven't seen the original. Am I wrong in saying, like, Max is supposed to be... is Mel Gibson's Max more generic, like, just kind of a more normal dude, because you're, like, closer to the... to normal life? I guess?
He's a lot more normal. Like, he still has... like, he is pretty much just an Australian bloke doing his dailies, I don't even know how to, like, describe the original film to you compared to this one, because, like, it is very much just a normal Australia, but just imagine, like, 2 years post a gasoline crisis. Like, people still, like, hanging out, going to the beach and all that shit. It's still a very normal place.
That sounds really cool, though. Like,
where else can we go?
I feel like we actually haven't really talked about the action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Okay. Favorite set pieces, or just favorite piece, in general?
Well, it's really only 2 set pieces, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I already mentioned it, but like my favorite set piece is when they team up and when they're in that kind of that canyon, that kind of bridge between deserts. Just because I think everything comes together in that scene. The music, the fucking what there is of like the development of between Furiosa and Max, where they come together as well, and just the choreography in that is awesome. And it's the first kind of big one we see, so it's like you're kind of like shocked into it, and there's motorbikes on the side coming up, and they're right on the tail. So I think that's like the most exciting one for me. And it kind of comes earlier in the film, so it's kind of surprising in that sense.
Dude, I don't know. Picking out one favorite is very hard. I love the inside of that sandstorm, but I don't know if that, like, you can't really describe it as an action piece, but like, I think there's enough action occurring within it. But like in pure action pace, I don't know. Yeah, just any of the cars flipping over, man. It's all sick. It is all fantastic.
Yeah.
Just gets you rock hard. Fucking get you going, man. And you clearly don't feel the same.
Yeah. No, not really. It does. It all looks amazing, but like, and I know all the scenes you're talking about, but it just kind of blends together for me, to be honest. It just all. I feel like it's kind of is the start of the film. Then there's car chase 1, which is on the way out. And then there's definitely a break in the film where you sort of get the nighttime stuff. And there's a little bit of action there, where the nighttime in this film looks like it's just blue. And then they meet the old people, whatever, that were 50 thought was cringe. And then there's the car chase back. I kind of only sort of see it split with that split. So it does blend together for me, to be honest. But that's the thing about it. Like, I was reading in the trivia about like how much like so many famous directors like love, like basically just like pray to the altar of this movie, and like Robert Rodriguez was the best thing he's ever seen in his life, and so did Bong Joon-ho and all these people, and it's just like I get it, I do, because like so much of what they filmed in camera and all the like they shot it all practically. I've got no idea how they filmed it either. I think it's incredibly impressive.
Even the actors on set, like I don't know if you saw the things from like Tom Hardy or Charlize as well. Like
I've got that for later if you want to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me I should just do it now? You brought
just fucking put it in now. Yeah.
Yeah. In a this is kind of getting some insight into like how George crafted this. It's interesting. In a Cannes press conference for the movie, Tom Hardy apologized to George Miller for his reportedly complicated relationship between them on set. He stated, "Because of the due diligence that was required to make everything safe and simple, what I saw was a relentless barrage of complexities simplified for this fairly linear story. I knew he was brilliant," Tom talking about George, "but I didn't know about how brilliant he was until I saw it." Charlize Theron also mentioned similar experiences where she had no idea what she was filming, up to the point where she would ask the director what the hell was going on, and then in the end, seeing the finished film greatly exceeded her expectations. I thought that was really interesting because I can imagine being on set. I also read that there was 470 hours of footage.
That's mad. That's fucking mad.
So I can imagine on set, this film was shot years in advance, probably took a long time to shoot. It was probably like these actors turning up every day in the desert and it just being like the most, just filming so much shit, so much cars, so much, where it's just like, I can understand just totally losing your place of like, what scene is this? And especially when a lot of it, even watching it for me, does feel similar. So it's like, I could totally understand getting lost in it in that way. So yeah, it's just a credit to the fact that it comes out coherent at all and really cool. I just thought that was interesting insight from like lead actors, just like,
yeah.
Because I imagine that doesn't happen a ton, where you like have no idea what it's going to end up being like, and then it being awesome kind of thing.
I wonder. I don't know what the production process is like, but like, would the actors look at the storyboards, or is that none of their business?
True, I don't know.
Because like, it's like for this film, the storyboards were far more important than the script. That's why like in that comic it says they started working on them 20 years, 10, 15 years before they started shooting. So like I don't know. I assume they probably would have, but like I guess like the storyboards, if they only saw the script in isolation with its minimalist kind of dialogue, I can it definitely would seem like way too much is going on for what's going on in the script, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like they would have. It's funny. I feel like they would have had to have seen them.
Yeah, I think
it sort of sounds like they didn't. But
yeah,
maybe even if you had seen them, it still is not enough. Like until you actually, it's all mainly in George's head, and the storyboards help and stuff. But it's like
apparently
until you see it come together.
Panels.
Yeah. I actually have that right here. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. I feel like they would have had to have seen it.
Yeah. Zach, favorite action? I think you're kind of saying that they were grouped together, but you didn't really get to a favorite.
Because I don't really have one. I think I'll say no. Like actually, because I can't really pick apart a scene. I will say that my favorite aspect of the action, again, other than just appreciating how well constructed it is, no doubt it is. But like, and it's a generic answer, but like, dude, the instruments and the fire guitar is 100% the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, there's no denying it. There's no denying it. It's insane. Like, that visual perfectly encapsulates the world and the vision of George. It's like that's what I love about it so much. It's like you just get that shot where they introduce that car and then it comes around and it's the dudes playing on the drums and the camera comes around, then you reveal the guy with the guitar on the other side. It's like just take that one shot and like play it on mute and it's like I get the visual language of this movie. I get it. And it's just and besides all that stuff, it's just freaking sick,
I still
it's
get
mad.
like as much as I love like I love everything, but like every time still when the little like trapeze pole guys come in, I still get giddy because like it's fucking ridiculous. It's fantastic.
Cool.
And they're counterbalanced by engine blocks, and they're fucking going up and down and shit. And like it's so awesome, dude. It's so
cool. They were really cool.
Yeah.
My favorite shot in the movie actually was the shot they'd already been introduced like the pole vault guys, but it was the shot of the convoy coming to everyone coming towards the camera, and it sort of had that mirage effect. With like the pole vault dudes going back and forth.
Yeah.
That's my favorite shot in the movie. I thought it was awesome.
Did did the sandstorm stuff not really do much for you guys? Because I think that's like some of the most impressive shit. Awesome, like the colors, the kind of the the way like the kind of guys get whipped up in that tornado. I think the actual like entering of it and the visual of it. I think it's like some of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
Yeah, they kind of red in those shots and like the black and white. Every time there's like a thunderbolt and like the deep blue of the thunder of the lightning was like really cool.
Don't watch it if you have epilepsy though.
Yeah,
it was pretty intense.
It makes me wonder what the black and chrome, black and white edition is like, because those you know, you don't get that, you wouldn't get the contrast in the black and white in that specific scene. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's the most spectacular kind of sequence in the film, I guess.
How did you feel about the colors in the movie in general? Because I was struck by. I read in the trivia that George was going for it on purpose because he was sick of post-apocalyptic stuff looking brown and stuff, which is true. But it was definitely noteworthy how high contrast it all was.
I don't know. I think my first feeling to the oversaturation was just kind of like, I don't know, probably not there because I think I probably felt like it was a mistake. But like, you know, I think it makes sense more and more every time. I think, and you know, but then like watching it this time, I feel like it actually looks. It's not just an oversaturation. It feels like a genuine, like careful care in picking of all the colors, which like obviously it always was, and it always is across all productions. But like, I think this time it probably struck me the most strongly, in terms of like, you know, the palette that is chosen. I don't know. Maybe my mind was kind of washed by that 480p version I was watching for all those years on my laptop.
Right.
Because I think the color seemed like a lot more profound this time, a lot deeper.
The opening shot of Max like looking over the ridge or whatever it was struck me right away. It's like, oh wow, that's colorful. And then a few minutes later, I forgot about it because you sort of just get into the movie and get missed in it.
It doesn't stay as consistent with that. I like the landscapes being like a whole range of a specific color or like something like that. Like when you get to the kind of desert and the action scenes there, it's kind of like the desert is interesting in other ways other than its its palette. I guess it's the range, mainly just because it looks like, you know, an otherworldly kind of desert, as we talked about earlier. But it doesn't. It's not there throughout. I guess it comes back in the sandstorm scene.
Yeah.
Like in Tom Hardy's in Max's early escape attempt from the Citadel, you know how like a lot of that is sped up. Is that done the way where, you know, like that everything's doing it now in terms of removing frames, or was that just a speeding up of like the actual footage?
To me, it looked like it was shot in a high frame rate and sped up.
Yeah.
So I don't think so, but I'm not. You know, don't quote me.
Because I feel like I read about it once upon a time, a long time ago, about like how they actually did it, but I can't. Like this time when I was going through the stuff, I couldn't see anything about how that one was done.
Yeah. Did you like it?
It didn't work as well for me this time around because I think I'm a bit bored by the sped up action now.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, back in 2015 when it was new, you know, I think it was probably very sick.
I could see it being unique at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it either, though. To be honest. Can you tell me how you say Max's name?
Rocktenski. Hold on, let me.
Rocketansky.
I don't. It's Rock or something, isn't it?
I want to say Rockestansky.
Rocketansky.
But I don't think that's what it is.
Rocketansky.
Rocketansky.
Is that right?
Rocketansky. Yeah.
So is when I mentioned the daughter going nowhere, is that part of his backstory in the other films or something that like maybe everyone who's seen the other ones can connect to?
Well, so that little girl that you see, like in his visions, that's not his daughter. That's just a girl that he failed to protect post-apocalypse, who was run down by like some other like kind of group of raiders.
Okay.
His daughter.
You learned that in the comic?
No, I don't think so. Or maybe it is in the comic. I can't recall. But his daughter dies like just like from a bullet or something, like close to like, you know, close to like the actual apocalypse state. And then like he takes on a group of survivors. Maybe this is from the comics. Yeah, it probably is, to be honest. But yeah, he's helping like people, and then like that girl, yeah, she dies when she gets, and that's why you see like a bunch of faces that say, you failed us, whatever. But like obviously
Yeah,
the
yeah.
little girls are like the most profound one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it does come back because it saves him when he goes,
What?
when she goes, when she's like, you failed us, and he goes, oh, and it
Yeah,
stops him
and then
from
he
being
puts
shot.
yeah.
It does come back. It isn't.
Was that the arc?
Yeah, it's him
Yeah.
realizing that he has to carry this weight, but it's not it's not necessarily a bad thing. It helps him,
Right.
It helps
Okay.
him clear his path. It helps him, I don't know, some other
I
shit.
hope it at least is some sort of connection to the other films because, like, because look, if it's just on me because I haven't seen them and there's some thread there, then that's fine. But for me, just watching this movie,
Well, there is
he's
an arc.
traumatized. Yet, is there?
Yeah, because he was a cop. He was a protector, and he's traumatized by his past because he failed to protect the child and the Aborigine man that shows up.
That's how you can tell it's Australian.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And then at the end, he could have just gone on his own way, but he decides to help the group of women out by going back to the Citadel. So he makes a decision at the end there to repossess the protector role.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. That's true.
One thing I actually take is when they mentioned the group with the going off ways towards the end. When she says 160 days across salt flats, like in my mind immediately that was setting off bells of, hold on, that can't be right. 160 days is a long time for one stretch of land. Like our salt flats aren't that big in Australia. But then I was reading the trivia. 160 days worth of ride is enough to go around the world 4 times, let alone Australia. So yeah, like I get like that probably was thrown in there to convey that it's a massive span, and 20 days or whatever, 8 days of ride probably doesn't sound like a whole lot.
Yeah.
But like he went for the fucking
4
complete
times.
opposite, because like even if you were to like rationalize it as like the world's oceans have dried up, so that's why they can ride for 160 days, then you're still going around the world 4 times.
That's insane. Where were they actually intending on going?
Whatever's across the salt flats.
Okay, so they don't know what's there.
I don't think so.
Because to me, it kind of sounded like in the movie they just wanted to do it because they had nothing better to do. It was like, oh, well, we can ride 160 days across the salt flats if you want. We may as well because we can't go back the other way. All right, sure. Yeah.
Do you know who the actor for Rictus Erectus is?
No,
because he's a wrestler, so I thought you might be able to identify.
Really?
Him. Yeah, apparently he performed in WWE for a few years.
No shit.
Yeah.
But no, I think I think I've covered everything. Yeah. Oh, actually, what the quote at the end? Who was the first history man? What was that about?
What?
The quote at the end of the movie?
Oh, sorry. Did you guys get this in fucking German text, or was that just me?
Yeah, that was just
you.
Dude, what did you watch it on?
Stan.
I watched it on Netflix, right? And the end card was in fucking German, and so was when the buzzards first come up, and it has like a little translation of what they're saying. The translation was in German. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? I was like, I've never seen this before. So like I don't know the Netflix version. Like I was reading that in Germany the buzzards speak Russian so that you can kind of keep the illusion of not understanding them. So it must somehow be the German version, but with the English audio. I don't know, because my end card was in German and my subtitles for the buzzards were in German. I've never seen it before, and I don't know why Netflix did it like that.
That is hilarious.
No,
yeah.
What was the quote? Sorry,
it was just about how you have to wander the wasteland or some shit. Survival. Someone who walks around the wasteland is in the wasteland.
Let me look it up.
That was kind of the gist of it.
I think the history people are the people that like Miss Giddy, the teacher of her own lives, the old lady with all the tattoos on her. So I think she's a history person, right? And the comics is narrated by a history man. So I guess that this is and they're just pretty much storytellers and like old world knowledge people. So I guess that this is coming from the first History Man. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Okay. No, that's cool.
Oh no, hold on. What's
was-
this?
yeah.
The History Man was yeah, I think it's something like that. Where they're just history keepers of the old world. But yeah. Where must we go, we who wander this wasteland in search of our better selves? Powerful stuff, George. Yeah. I could understand the German was like, where was that? And I was like, fuck. I was like, I don't know, man. I couldn't be bothered enough to like, dude. Like it didn't even click in my head that was wrong until you guys just said that it was in English. I was like, oh, it's always been like this.
Yeah. George is really being ultra pretentious with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. I think I'm ready for final verdicts if you are.
Liam, what do you got? Anything else?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Cool. Zachary, what's your final verdict for Mad Max Fury Road?
I'll give it 5.
You're dropping it down. You're actually dropping it down.
Yeah,
That's
on my
fucked.
the way my current scale works, 6 was high, so yeah, it's a 5. It's a I appreciate a lot about it, but I didn't overall. It was an average movie for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, sorry.
Liam?
Everyone else thinks crazy too, don't worry.
I'm unfortunately also dropping it down, Jayden. But I'll give it a 6. I still.
You're dropping it down 2 points.
2 points. Yeah. 2 whole divisions. Yeah. Yeah, I was still pretty into like the first half of it. Some of the action sequences there, the music for sure. But yeah, there is a little. There is, I guess, not enough to chew on, as Zach said, not enough meat to the bone. So, yes, 6.
You see, this is why, like, I've often thought, what about like one day when Cine Effect gets recognized as a Metacritic critic? Like, how would we give our score? And that's why I've always felt like an averaged out score between 3 of us won't be good enough because the average that this generates is just terrible. And like, I don't want my name under Cine Effect saying fucking 60 on Mad Max.
Yeah. I think it would be wiser to decide universally we always go with either the lowest or the highest score, depending on what gives us more attention.
550 would give us
a 50 on Metacritic for Fury Road would be like, yeah.
Let's see, who are these people?
Well, I'm giving it a 9. So would you rather have it as at a 50 or a 9 on Metacritic?
At a 50 because that actually affects the score more.
That's
going to like, who are these wankers that like affected the overall Metacritic of Mad Max Fury Road?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Nah, I reckon it. I don't know. There needs to be a proper system where like we have to like. I don't know. How would we address that? Because I don't think your lowest to highest thing is a good method. What
about we just choose who has the best opinion each time?
I think I honestly like that more. Where like I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but I much prefer Zach's Liam's 6 compared to your 5.
Sure. Okay.
So I would throw mine.
And see, I would also happily back Liam's 6 because it's closer to mine. So
yeah, but then it still ends up so fucking wrong in my case.
7
yeah.
Well then, okay. What about like in Leo then? When us two are 4 and you're an 8, we just go with the 4, right? I guess we always have to pair with like whoever's close. Oh, goddamn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
But that's not a real thing, right? You can't actually have a Metacritic score like based on multiple people.
I actually don't know. I don't know how this shit works.
I assume you
can't. I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah, this is a fake problem we invented.
Yeah.
Unless like we have to, unless we give like a letter grading afterwards, and like we just equate that to a number.
Oh yeah,
that just makes it worse.
No, but wasn't there that one dude that like did like a scale of 7, so it was always like fucky on like his like when it was then translated to like the overall score. Like we'll just be like that, A B C D E F. We'll do it on a scale of 6s. On a scale of 6. Sorry. So then like
Oh right, and then like how do you convert that to a Metacritic? Yeah. Yeah, that
Like, how do you
sounds
convert an
terrible.
A into a, like, an A would have to be like 100, and then a B would have to be like, what, 87?
Yeah. And then a
Yeah.
C would be like 45. And like, what happened?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Let me tell you, if we can do it, anyone can. And that's thanks to Zencaster. Like a lot of other podcasts out there, our show is recorded over the web every week. But trying to record a podcast with platforms like Zoom and Discord can be an audio quality disaster. I'm sure you've heard some of the podcasts I'm talking about with long delays, sound cutting in and out. It is not pleasant. Zencaster captures studio quality sound for all of your guests right from your web browser. Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And with Zencaster's all-in-one platform, you can create and distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations all in one place. Go to zencaster.com/pricing and use our code CinemaEffect to get 30% off your first month of any paid plan. That's zencaster.com/pricing with promo code CinemaEffect with an E for 30% off today. Feel a sense of Zen with Zencaster.
Moving swiftly on, we've got no news this week.
No.
Unfortunate. So I guess we're doing what we've been watching, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Liam, what have you been watching?
Oh, yeah, I don't have anything this week, so.
I don't have anything either, Jay.
Righto.
Jeez,
Sorry.
Let me consult my
carrying
diary.
us once again.
I've been watching a couple TV shows, but like just going through them, I haven't got not enough yet. Sorry, I'm cooking.
Let's see. I rewatched Midnight Mass this week. I was meant to put it on in the background while I was writing some essay, but then it didn't really work in the background, and I kind of just paid way too much attention to it. And I watched all 7 episodes in one day instead of writing.
Have you ever found the notion of putting a show on in the background while you work effective in any capacity?
No. Back when I was watching Pokemon, like if I'm working on a project and I'm drawing and designing, it can function slightly, but it has to be like super low level stuff. But if I'm writing, then yeah, no, it's not really working. But like that's why I can't even like I can't do podcasts either, even when they're related. Like I was when I was writing one time, I was listening to this podcast where this architect was talking about designing prisons, and I still couldn't do it, even though she was talking about like things relevant. I still couldn't do it because it was just too much in my head.
Yeah, no, you definitely.
So yeah, I need to do music, and that's it. And I guess this was the final kind of indicator, nail in the coffin. It's great that it's come at the very end of my education that this has occurred.
But you got to rewatch Midnight Mass. So that's
I rewatched Midnight Mass, and it just reaffirmed how awesome this series is. Brilliant. It's just absolutely fantastic stuff. I mean, one of the main complaints on Letterboxd is people taking issue with Mike Flanagan's monologues and some of his dialogues as being like kind of jerky offish and like kind of pretentious. And it certainly does. It's not as bad as people say, where people give this show like 1 out of 10 because of how bad they are. Like they're not. It's not at all that bad, and like some of it actually is quite good. So like, I think it was just it was interesting looking at things that people took issue with compared to like often it'd be stuff that I liked with the series. But just other than that, like the setting is just phenomenal. Like I know I spoke about the show I spoke about this on the show a couple of years ago, so I don't really want to go. I'm scared of going over it too much, but like the setting's brilliant, the story is fantastic. The themes of religion are just it's probably just some of the best of it I think I've ever seen, because it comes from such a place of understanding and kind of awareness of religion and like a respect for it while still criticizing it. And like people that call the show atheist because of how it kind of concludes are just fucking dumb and have literally zero media literacy. But it's a great expression of religion, I think, in the end. And I don't know, it is just true. I think it's I think Haunting of Hill House is probably still like a better show overall. Yeah, no, it is. But Midnight Mass is once again incredible, And I think like horror television is so hard to do because of the pacing of it all, and I think the fact that Flanagan is able to continually knock it out of the park is really kind of awesome.
That's cool. I listened to Mike on Chris Stuckman's podcast the other day, and that was interesting.
Oh yeah,
just learning about him.
Ah,
Every director that people like, I learned from it. I mean, I sort of gathered this from a lot of interviews I listened to, but have no idea what they're doing. It's funny.
oh really?
Well, in terms of just their self, like, the way they view their work and their self confidence. It's like every time I make something, I've got no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I'm, all that kind of thing. Just really interesting. And then, but like I haven't seen much of his stuff at all. But like, obviously, Mike's revered. I feel like I've seen something. Wait, have I seen nothing?
Have you seen Doctor Sleep?
No. I swear to God, I've seen something of his. I don't know. Anyway, maybe not actually. But yeah, anyway, it's just funny. Like, obviously, he's like a people know who he is now. He's like a revered director in Hollywood these days, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So people don't view themselves that way. It's cool.
Righto. Now we hand the show over to you guys, the audience, with our question of the week. Last week we asked you about, who's a character that you like that's a protagonist of few words that you like, is what we said. Luke says Wall-E. Very valid. In fact, 0 words. Actually, no, he says Eve, doesn't he? Yeah.
And he says his own name, doesn't he?
Does he?
Oh,
yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Do. That's true. Andy says Gromit from Wallace and Gromit. Dogs probably don't count. Well, yeah, they do. They sure do. But Gromit can't even woof and makes noises, so he's made dog a few barks. He justifies it better anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Luke goes also Batman, which Andy also then says also Mr. Bean. So just great things all around.
Yeah. There's a few there. I don't know. Is Batman really count?
I think. I don't know, because I was thinking, I was looking at Pattinson's Batman, and I was like, yeah. I think
might be
the character as Batman does, but Bruce Wayne doesn't. Is the thing,
Yeah,
I think in the comics he does, especially with when he's like with the Justice League, because the joke is usually there's like says like one word and then kind of susses everyone's weaknesses and then leaves kind of thing.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I don't think of like it depends on the version. I guess I don't think of like Bale's Batman as not saying much. I think he says plenty.
Yeah. No, I think it's mainly probably more comic stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe even animated stuff. I'm just trying to think back. Certain animated products as well, probably. Yeah. What is was there anything in the YouTube comments that I should have been aware of?
I don't think so.
All right.
No.
What is
if I would have also missed if I'd done it? So,
what's your guys' favorite protagonist of few words? I don't know, Zach, I guess.
I'm scared to go first because I don't want to steal Liam's.
No, you won't steal mine.
I won't.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I'm scared I'm going to steal someone's. I think I will.
You won't steal mine, no, I guarantee you.
Oh, okay. The man with no name.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, good. Okay, thank God.
He does have a name though, but
he has multiple names. He has multiple names. Yeah. No, that's a great one for sure. I feel like of all the different film options I was coming across, I still need to watch the other ones, but that's probably the best film of them that I'd seen. Because then I saw I don't think I'm going to steal anyone saying this, but because I saw the Terminator as well. And it's like, I feel like the thing about him though is that I feel like the more he talks more when he's a protagonist, right?
Yeah, and T2, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but so it's also can someone that's iconic for a line of dialogue be recognized as a protagonist of few words?
Yeah,
he's known for "I'll be back," so it's like
yeah, right, yeah. I get what you're saying, but it's also I feel like more to the spirit of the question. It's like a protagonist. Well, he didn't speak much when he was an antagonist, but I feel like he spoke. I'm not going to say he spoke a ton in T2, but I think he spoke enough to not really count anymore.
Yeah, he learned enough
as far as I remember.
English and human culture to start speaking enough by the end.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the man with no name. I'm happy with that.
Okay. Lamb?
Well, my favorite protagonist, a few words, is myself. You know, in the movie of my life. Nick Cage in Pig is very good. You know, he gets his pig stolen, and then he like confronts the whole system and everyone in it, and they just kind of like speak at him usually, and he kind of just reacts to it pretty passively. But he persists silently, kind of interrogating these people silently, and until he finds gets a. What is it? What I don't remember the ending of Pig, man. Does he get his pig back? Until he succeeds in his mission,
No spoilers.
whatever it
No
was.
spoilers.
So yeah,
I've never heard the film like described like so perfectly because that's like what it was. He had his pig stolen, then he went to talk to a bunch of people about it,
yeah.
and like kept working the way up the chain.
I feel like my answer's pretty shit this week.
Is it K?
Who?
K?
No. I didn't even
I
think
thought
of
someone
him.
might say that.
Yeah. I got Benicio del Toro and Sicario, but like even then, I'm like,
that's pretty good.
But he speaks his fair share, you know.
Yeah.
But then I think he probably does count.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't count for Day of the Soldado or whatever. Because I think he speaks a fair bit more there. But in Sicario, yeah, I guess he counts.
Is he a protagonist though? Isn't he basically the antagonist?
Yeah, true.
He's Denis' antagonist.
I just kind of took it as character. I kind of took the question as main character with Little Darling.
Yeah.
I've also got Caesar written down here, you know, from Rise.
Oh, because he can't speak.
Yeah.
Well, he can't speak yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why weak answers for me this week, I feel.
I like Benicio. I do.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
Because he's kind of like, I mean, the moral ambiguity is a fair point to it, but like he is functionally a protagonist in the movie.
Yeah.
Until it becomes sort of like you don't know how you feel about him at the end kind of thing, but before that.
Yeah, I suppose he does kill those kids.
Yeah, he sure does. Go and check out our Sicario review.
Yeah, episode 174.
Was it actually? Or?
No, I've never fucking clue.
Yeah.
Just whenever you throw back to a previous review, I think it's fun to
just like
random
throw out a number that's like vaguely might be right.
Yeah, but that's only 30 episodes ago. So does that seem right?
No,
it kind of does, doesn't it?
It would be further back.
No,
it would be further.
Be like 80ish or something. I don't know. Or like
it's in
80 to 120 or something like that.
You reckon? I think it's in the hundreds. I'm pretty sure it is.
It's surely post Tenet, right?
Yeah,
really?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's at least 150.
Was that one?
Oh no, Tenet was 100.
That was 100.
Oops.
I'm pretty sure it's between 1 and 150.
Oh, okay. So it'd be a fun game to play on air, you know. Just.
Oh yeah. The audience can participate.
Yeah. That's all we have this week. Yeah, that's the end of the show. No more comments. Liam, what are we watching next week?
We're watching Furiosa, new movie coming out. Same director, same series. It's a prequel to Fury Road. So yeah, it will be out of the cinemas and everyone will watch it. So let's have fun and watch Furiosa, and yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Next week questions as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah. Next week we are asking you in relation to this film, because we're always on it like that. What's a good example of an actor taking a role outside their usual range? Comedies into horror into action, whatever. Whatever you want to do.
Like Seth Rogen in The Interview, That was a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. James Franco in The Interview. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks to the co-hosts, Liam and Zachary. And goodbye.
I don't think I've ever been thanked for doing this show. It felt really nice.
Yeah, I was hesitant on thanking you, but I thought better do it.